Okay, so this is assignment 1 for fitness testing. I'll just talk you through it. So it's out today and it's in on the 22nd of March. So there have been some concerns about the quality of health screening questionnaires used by Bath, used at the university. Based on these concerns, you've been asked to produce a health screening questionnaire, and we can look at that in a minute. And we have been doing this in lesson. So you've got to design a new health screening questionnaire that could be used in an initial consultation with your client. And these are the things that you need to include. So all of this needs to be included in your questionnaire. If it's not, please add it. So personal details, names, address, occupation, we've talked about that. Medical information, so medical history, illness, injuries, physical health, including additional medical details regarding chronic heart disease factors, diabetes, smoking, etc. Lifestyle, so sleep patterns, work patterns, stress levels, previous current exercise history, hobbies. So what we mean by that is how often do they exercise, what do they currently do, how much sleep do they get, what's their work-life balance like, so how many hours do they work. And then finally diet, so typical daily diet, alcohol consumption, fat, sugars, salt intake. As a supplement to your questionnaire, design an informed consent form for the purpose of the health screening. So this should have covered factors such as explanation of the test, risks, responsibilities, benefits. So a little consent bit at the bottom saying, you know, that they give full consent to it and it's signed and dated. Okay, so if we look at that in relation to mine, give me 2 seconds. Here's mine. So I've got my questionnaire. Actually, it hasn't got all those things on there, so I'd need to develop it. But I have got a health screening questionnaire. I'd need to add the things in that I've missed off. Okay, so make sure you do that first time round. The next bit says, in a role play, choose 2 class members and carry out a consultation and complete the health screening questionnaire you've designed. A sufficient contrast should exist in terms of the client. So what it means by that is that you need 2 contrasting clients. Okay, so you might have a rugby player and a darts player. You might have someone who does boxing and somebody who does gymnastics. Okay, very different. You need to gather the information as much as possible. So you give your questionnaire to your client, you get them to fill out all the information, because you need as much information as you possibly can so that when you go on to the task later on, you can actually think about unpicking that. Okay. Task 3, which we've been doing in the lessons, is where you have to do the health screening, health monitoring tests, so heart rate, blood pressure, lung function, hip to waist ratio, body mass index, or even the skin fold test. Okay, so using the same client, safely administer 4 different health monitoring tests from the following. Okay, once you've collected the data, you then need to interpret the results. So 2 clients, get your results. You only need actually 4 tests. Okay, so you can get rid of one of these. You say what the test result is, and then you interpret the result. Okay, in terms of the normative data, so whether it's normal, whether it's above average, whether it's below average, whatever it is, you need to be able to interpret the results you get for both clients. Okay, and then finally evaluate the information you've gained from both the health screening questionnaires and health monitoring tests, describing the strengths, areas for improvement for your 2 contrasting individuals. Where areas of improvement are identified, you need to provide recommended lifestyle changes. You could put forward advice on how they could improve the amount of exercise they do, or offer suggestions on how they could eat healthier, etc. Alright, so if we look at what I've done for you, kind of gone through this process. So here's my PAR-Q. What I need to do is to get 2 clients to fill this in. So I now need to get 2 contrasting clients to complete this questionnaire. Okay, and then when I've got them, I need to scan or take pictures of them and upload them to my document, so I've got evidence of them. You need to be able to see the images, so if you're taking a picture of the questionnaire that you've got completed by your client, you need to be able to see that. Okay, so when you upload it to this document, I should be able to read it in full and not have to kind of unpick it. It should be obvious. The next bit, I've got my client 1. I should have done all the tests. You can see I've only done 2 here, but I should have done all of them, and then I should have interpreted all of them. What I've done down here, so heart rate, where I haven't done it, I need to get on and do that. But in the case of blood pressure, client 1's blood pressure results show that 121/80 is normal. For a male this age, it shows they have healthy blood pressure reading. Okay, that's all I've done is summarize it. Then I've done the BMI. I've said client one's BMI score of 26.1 was calculated using their height and weight measurements and inputting on the NHS BMI calculator. It indicates that for a male of this age, they are overweight. Okay, so that's all I've done, and I've done the same for client 2. Okay, so I've got my pass criteria here. Now, if I'm looking to go on to my merit and distinction, I will show you now what I require you to do. Okay, so it's a little bit more complex than what we've done previously, but that just goes with the nature of the merit and distinction. So here, you have to describe the strengths and areas for improvement of 2 contrasting individuals using the information from the health screening questionnaires and your health monitoring test. So here I've gone client 1's health screening questionnaire indicates that they have a poor diet and they often eat wrong foods. This can have a negative impact on their health and could lead to a number of health related issues such as coronary heart disease or diabetes. The health monitoring BMI results show that the client is overweight, and this could link to the information provided in the questionnaire regarding poor diet. So I'm saying that their poor diet could have an impact on their BMI score. This information tells us that the client's diet and weight is a weakness and that they need to develop. If the client doesn't make a significant change, they're at risk of coronary heart disease. And then I've gone on to say what coronary heart disease is. Coronary heart disease is when the heart's blood supply is blocked or interrupted by a buildup of fatty substances in the coronary arteries. Over time, the client's poor diet can lead to the arteries walls being covered with fatty deposits, which can potentially lead to a heart attack. Okay, so I've kind of explained this first part. I've then gone on to recommend what I would do with the client. So I recommend that the client change their diet. This will need to be a balanced diet, ensuring they get the right nutrients. It is advisable for the client to cut out artificial sugary foods. This food is, if not used, can result, and what I mean by used is if it's not worked off, can result in the sugars being stored as fats and having further impact on the weight gain. The client should design a healthy meal guide, for example, melon yogurt for breakfast, chicken and pasta for energy at lunch, and salmon and asparagus and sweet potatoes for tea. The meal plan will help the client monitor their foods and help to reduce their weight. Okay, and that recommendation there would support what I'm trying to do to develop the client. Okay, I've only done one there for client 1, and I'd expect you to do sort of 4 to 5 per client. So I've done 1 for client 1, I need to do an additional 4, and then I also need to do it for client 2. Okay, so I would pick out other weaknesses and strengths to reinforce in the same way as I've done for client 1 above there. So again, you need to do 4 more for client 1. And also don't, you can mention strengths. Okay, I would apply the same approach to client 2, but be mindful, even if it is a strength, so you've recognised that your client's got a strength, they still need a recommendation to improve. So it might be fantastic, but what can they do to further develop that? No one's ever going to stop and stand still. What can we do to move forward with it? It's really important that you do that. Okay, so that's the assignment in its entirety, and this is your walkthrough guide. I hope it's of help. If you've got any questions, email me. If not, fantastic, and I hope to see your submission on the 22nd of March.